way to stand is on the basis of truth. And without truth, there's only manipulation. Extraordinary, poignant example is Pablo Picasso. A genius of an artist, maybe, but a monster of a man in his relationships. His great friend, Alberto Giacometti, called him a monster. He devoured his friends. He devoured especially women, mistresses, and so on. He called himself the Minotaur, the classical monster who devoured maidens. One of his mistresses, Marie Therese, she said, he used to rape us and then paint. He himself said, when I die, and you remember he died at 91 in 1973, he said, when I die, and he said this long before the filming of the Titanic, when I die, it will be like a great ship going down, and many will go down with me. And when he did, 3 of those close to him committed suicide, unable to live without this devouring, consuming personality who was at the center of their lives in such a powerful way. But if you read the stories, only one was really able to stand with security, Françoise Gillot, one of his mistresses who was 40 years younger than Picasso. But she said, I would have to go into Pablo every day, like Joan of Arc, wearing the armor of truth. Without truth, there is only manipulation. A very simple argument, but a very powerful argument to people, because none of us like to be manipulated. And let's be clear, without truth, there is only power. And all of us will be at the mercy of those stronger than us, because the name of the game is manipulation. That's the negative argument. The more positive argument sounds a little more abstract, but equally important. Without truth, there is no freedom. When I was at Oxford, one of the grand old men still living then was Isaiah Berlin, the great Jewish philosopher. And again, I saw him sort of teasing American graduate students. And he would say, you know, in America, you come across to England with only half a view of freedom. And they would look at him. And he would expound freedom with 2 dimensions, and he would say that most Americans only had 1 dimension. He said the same to the British, too. In other words, most people, for example, the archetypal teenager, would say that freedom is freedom from. A teenager is free from parents, from professors, from the police, from any parental supervision, and thinks that's free. Freedom from. And of course, that is a very vital part of freedom. Whenever there's tyrants and repressive authorities or whatever, becoming free from. But Berlin would point out that's only half of freedom. Freedom is not just freedom from, it's freedom for. As Lord Acton, the great Catholic historian, put it, it's not just the permission to do what we like, it's the power to do what we ought. Real freedom depends on knowing who we are, because we're most free when we're ourselves, as G.K. Chesterton says. You can free a tiger from its cage, but you can never free it from its stripes. Its stripes are part and parcel of what's the tiger. You can free the camel from the zoo, but for heaven's sake, don't free it from its hump. The hump is part and parcel of being a camel. In other words, you have to discover the truth, the character, the nature of what something is in order for it to be itself and to be free. You need to know the truth of what it is. And without truth, there is literally no freedom. Now, I suggest that many of our fellow citizens do sort of half-consciously believe in truth, but in a day when it's unpopular and now it's associated with religious totalitarianism and Osama bin Laden and so on, many people are ashamed to say that they believe in truth today. And we need to build back in some of these fundamental arguments for the importance of truth. But thirdly, let me move on 2 arguments for those who are much more radically skeptical about truth, who are opposed to truth, who are openly dismissive of truth in a very skeptical way. I think even here, there are 2 arguments that are very, very powerful. The first is negative, the second is positive.